Hello and welcome again, everyone, to episode 15 of Mission Apollo, the official Apollo Scooters podcast. We're recording two back-to-back for you. These will likely come out a few days apart. But we're joined once again by our CTO, Eloi. And if you watched our last episode, we were talking about the brand new Apollo City. And this time, we're going to be talking about the V3 Phantom. Hello again. Welcome, Apollo. I'm going to call you Apollo. You're basically Apollo. Hello and welcome again, Eloi.
Thank you.
So yeah, as you guys may have seen or know by now, we are working on a third version of the Phantom. This is our flagship scooter that we've been working on for a while now, and we released the V1. It was late last summer, I believe, or yeah, something like that, where we quickly released a version 2, and now we're working on a version 3. So can you give us a quick summary of the timeline of the Phantom, how we got to here, and then we'll dive into some of the differences and features of each version and how we got here.
Yeah, sure. So we launched, I think, the Phantom keynote with the V1 in April, if I remember well. Then sold the Phantom. It went really well. People were overwhelmed by it, I think. And we sold out in 2 days. It was great.
Hyping it for a long time, yeah.
Yes, and it was definitely a great launch, and the fact that it was our first proprietary scooter helped with that. Everyone was excited about it, yeah, it went super well. Then there was the little incident with the neck, and so we had to fix it. We made a neck brace for all the people who already bought the scooter. Then we introduced a proper version with the neck fix. It was in October, if I remember well.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And we reacted pretty quickly to that. Yeah.
Yes. It went super well with the V2. No cracked neck to this day. And sales are super well. We are always selling all this stock pretty much. Community love it, and one thing that is great with it is we start to see some community group online about the Phantom. That's super nice. I know you usually I remember I was seeing it for the Mercane. People are so passionate about this scooter, even if it's not the greatest. Same thing with the Wolf Warrior. It's really those two scooters seem to attract really people that like to mod them and build modify, paint them, disassemble the whole thing, and have it shipped to a paint shop. And for our scooter, we didn't necessarily saw this. Maybe because they are so beautiful, you don't need to do those things.
But it'd be like ruining a work of art.
Exactly, but nevertheless, it's still great to see that people put time and effort into it, and that's what we're starting to see with the Phantom. People are repainting it, changing all the tires, and even helping other member of the community. If we look at the video we make with Matunga, that is on our YouTube channel now, we're looking at the V3, but this guy is he upgraded everything about his scooter. He did the custom fenders, not because the other one are not good, just because he wanted something that looked even more sporty. Yeah, put TMT tire, which is an Italian brand. He put he changed the brake to hydraulic brake with custom one. He labeled every single wires in the scooter with this is front LED, this is rear LEDs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's you have a lot of time. We appreciate that he put all this time into the Phantom. But all of that said, it's just great to see people that love the scooter so much that they are willing to put the extra money and time and effort into it. And that's what we see with the V2 currently. All that being said, there was still, once you try so this is where we were now, and we decided to start working on the V3. What is different with the V3? It's our custom controllers that I showed in the video that people can go look up as well. It's within a blue, beautiful anodized case, and it's a new controller factory that is making it. The reason why we're making this controller is once you try the Apollo Ludo, which is an upgrade that we were selling for $1,000 before. I believe we never released the Phantom Ludo. We're doing it with the Apollo Pro before, yeah. But we had a couple. My Phantom is a Ludo one. Once you try it, you cannot go back. With the acceleration, how smooth it is, the region brake, which for me is always the biggest deal, and connection to the app, it's great. And you can modify all your setting within the app instead of going in the P setting, everything. it's just a fantastic experience. So we knew that it was possible to do something better, not by necessarily changing the frame again, but by changing what is inside the electronic components. And on top of that, we released our app in the meantime. Now we are introducing brand new throttle with the region and everything. So there was something to do by mixing all of this and putting it in the new V3 scooters. So that's what we did. So the new V3 is going to have new controller, new display, new throttles, and that's pretty much it. Though, what are those things doing? The new display have a Bluetooth chip built in, so you can connect to the app with it, the Apollo app. Before with the Ludo, it was to like the Stormcore app, like a third-party app. It was not as great as our app. So anyway, now it's all built within our app. It's all working with the setting change. It's working with the battery estimate. Everything is connected as if you were using the Apollo Air, for example, which is the only scooter compatible with now the City that we released yesterday. Pre-order open on the 23rd, everyone. But at the time you see this podcast, maybe there's some unit left. So jump to the website and buy it. And no, so the display, yes, brighter, higher refresh rate, twice as fast as the V2, which was twice as fast as the V1. So that's great. Yeah, brighter under the sun. So it's just you're getting a good reading, and we change the actual shape of it. It's rounder, and now the speedometer move with like the round shape, meaning it's really like a car odometer. It looked more natural than the X display. The X display was really edgy, sporty, aggressive. Now we are moving towards something that looks more refined, and it's just great. I love it. This one. I designed the round thing, so I'm of course biased. Yeah, that's great. After that, we have the throttle. So one of the things I didn't necessarily like on the V2 is all the buttons and the throttle. As you know, on the V1, we had the key ignition with the throttle built in. Didn't like this one. It was not responsive. We upgraded on the V2. On a throttle that looks similar to our throttle that we're going to offer on the V3 and the City, and that's where we took inspiration from. It was tilted and it was more responsive. So now we are able to remove all the button. So turning signal, mode button, throttle, remove all of this and just put two beautiful throttles. So the actual handlebar look way better. There's less wires. There's only 2 wires instead of 3. And it's more intuitive as well. So on the other Phantom, when you wanted to change gear, for example, meaning you're going to be able to change like the top speed of the scooter, you had to press on one set of button up and down. There was a mode button in the middle to see the voltage, odometer, trip remaining. Now it's all done within one button, which is with the power button. When you click fast, you can switch gear. And on the mode button, when you click fast, you switch between the as I said, the voltage odometer and the trip remaining. And now we added a feature that it's also a timer built in, so you see how long you've been doing your ride in minutes, and you see the second next to it. So that's pretty cool. And again, it's cleaner and it's also more intuitive to use this way, because when you have that many buttons, meaning like on the V2 or the V1. Well, you need to look at your handlebar to make sure you're pressing the good thing. But when you have only 4 buttons and only 2 of those 4 are for commands, the other 2 are for turning signal, it's just more intuitive. Safer, always safer. We're trying to go safer for everything. After that, you have the 2 buttons that are for turning signal. So super intuitive. Before you had to press on the same module, either the left or the right arrow to be able to activate the turning signal. Now it's directly on the throttle. If you want to turn right, you click on the right throttle. If you want to turn left, on the left throttle. So that's great. And linked to those turning signal, we added the feature of front turning signal. That's the thing that was requested by pretty much everyone. I can see why. So now the front deck light are going to be turn signal only. They're going to be switched to yellow. Right now they are white. If you do select the upgrade kit of the V1 and V2 and want to upgrade to the V3, they are still going to be white, and we won't provide the yellow light for this, but at least they're going to blink, so it's already better. And we won't be using them as deck light anymore, because honestly I don't think it's not adding any safety, because we have the great headlight at the top, and usually scooters just have the deck light, so the fact that we have the powerful 1000 lumen at the top, it's more than enough, and it's serving its purpose. So front turning signal, way easier to use. Remove all the buttons. It's now integrated within beautiful throttle that are ergonomic. You have a new display with Bluetooth chip, higher refresh rate, and brighter and look better. So all of this together are coupled with our new controller, which inside the deck, it looked absolutely fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's the best looking controller in the world for electric scooters. Usually it's just an aluminum box. So it doesn't look like anything with a bunch of wires sticking out. Now it's blue anodized, full of a nice hole pattern on the side for the air to escape. The gasket, so it's anodized blue, and the gasket to seal it are a beautiful orange shade like the new city. So that's pretty cool. And there's a heat sink built on it with a nice pattern as well. So heat dissipation, again, it's super good. It's super cool. And on the V3, one of the problems we had on the V2, mostly on the 60 volt, it's the overheating of the controller. We didn't have any. There's two aspects to it. The first one, maybe three aspects. The first one, we didn't have any heat sink on the scooter. So that means temperature, it was basically trapped inside the frame, and the temperature was building up. Now we're adding a heat sink under the body. So we're going to be able to have almost a direct contact between the controller and outside. So the air is going to cool the controller. We see this being done on Dualtron, I believe. It's working pretty well. The controller is pretty much always cold. So that's what you want. That's going to be cool. On top of that, the new V3 have a temperature sensor built in, so we are able to monitor all the temperature. And if you do reach a limit, it's going to limit the performance of the scooter, let it cool down, and then give you back all the performance. So that's going to ensure that you never burn your controller. Before, we didn't have that. It was the actual PCB becoming so hot that physically it was losing performance because of this. So it was like a natural, almost thermal throttling, but you don't want that. You don't want to reach this point. You want to limit it before, just to let it cool down fast enough to give you back those things, those performance. We have this. And lastly, the V1 and the V2, you can already feel like the acceleration is better. It's smoother. It's not as, I always say, jerky, because it's making the ta-ta-ta sound when it's starting, because it's a sensor-less motor. And the only way to fix that is by putting sensor in the motors. We didn't want to do it for the Phantom, because I wanted to make a point that you can make sensorless motors smooth, and also they are extremely reliable. The Phantom motors are by far the one that the most reliable one. We never had to change them for spare parts. With all the Phantom we sold, maybe we changed like 4 motors maximum, which is nothing compared to other scooters. And the reason is because there's no sensors in it. And when you have sensors in it, if you have a good supplier, it's great. But if you have suppliers that, let's say, we are working with for the city and the Explorer, like the more like mainstream supplier, it's always a sensor inside, always the same one. The third one to the right, it's burning. And just because this small chip, which is honestly like 5 cents on the internet, just because this burned, the whole motor needs to be changed. So you are scrapping like the magnet, the copper, the sensors, and all of this. There's a cost, and on top of that, you need to actually like do the labor of changing it. Right? It's not a good experience for anyone, and not good for the environment. So for the Phantom, I tried to make a controller that utilize sensorless motor and make it ultra smooth, and we were able to do it. So now with the new algorithm, go back to the heating point, we have a better algorithm that it's super smooth, and it's also more efficient. So there's not that much heat building inside the controller compared to what we had before, and it's gonna reach pretty similar temperature, a little bit under it, if you like don't take into account the heat sink, but at least it's reaching those temperature now because we are introducing the regenerative brake. Which is also building a lot of heat. So you're getting a smoother response, higher top speed, regen brake, and you are getting at the same temperature that the old one that didn't do any of those things. And again, with the heat sink, you are never going to get close to those temperature. So for people that want to upgrade V1 and V2, it's you can expect the controller to be super reliable, and people who want to buy the V3 as a whole scooter with the heat sink, it's a game changer for this.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it's a lot of different features there. And you mentioned it a little bit, but we should really, I think, emphasize like between the V1 and the V2, we improved the throttle responsiveness. That was one complaint or feedback that we got from a lot of customers, and we improved the responsiveness by what was it, 25%, I think, on the V2. And then the V3 is even more improved, right? So there's even less of that dead zone, you could call it, before the throttle activates.
Exactly. And also the speed that you are starting. So right now, like on the V2, there's a small dead zone, nothing compared to the V1, but you still, when the motor starts spinning, let's say, I don't know if it's really that, it's going to start spinning at 15 kilometers per hour, with the new one, you can start spinning at 5 kilometers per hour. So there's no dead zone, but on top of that, point that it's starting, it's much lower. So you can ride a Phantom side by side with the Air, and it's just as smooth, which is quite crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, I always thought of it as like it's like a sports car. You're not going to drive a Porsche or a Ferrari very slow on the roads and kind of cruise like that. It wants to go fast, is how I saw it. But yeah, a lot of feedback we got was that it was too high a response at too low a spot. Like the way it would activate, like you said, it was too fast. And then too much of a dead zone.
And those scooter are meant to be like ridden in like urban environment, right? So even here, when we ride like on the canal, you have people sometimes walking, and you need to slow down and like maneuver through the crowd. So I think it's important to have the ability at least to go slow. But again, you want to have crazy feature to go fast, and that's actually one thing we introduced with the V3. It's something called the Ludo mode as an Easter egg, but and also because you get the performance out of it. So now when you click 4 times on the power button or whatever, there's a frequency you do on the power button. You're the gear 1, 2, and 3 gonna disappear, and it's gonna be written Ludo, Ludo, and this is the crazy acceleration and top speed.
Short for ludicrous,
better than
anyone who doesn't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, as you mentioned before, it used to be something that we offered as an upgrade for our previous Apollo Pro, different from the Air Pro, which used to be our top-end scooter, but again was another OEM. We replaced that with the Phantom. And we were talking about building the Ludo version for the Phantom for a long time, but because it was our very first build, we wanted to take a little bit more time with that and make sure that we had perfected the scooter first before giving it that extra power. And to give people some context, or summarize, I guess, the event so far, go back and watch the V3 teaser that we released about a month ago. You and our CEO Matt did that, and then recently we dropped the community access video with our VIP community member, where you kind of show him all the ins and outs, because he has been working on his own Phantom for so long. But yeah, with the Phantom, the V1, we were very proud of it. It was our very first build, a lot of great things, but there was some improvements that we needed to do. And just to give everyone clarity and transparency, the neck brace issue was something that we had to fix right away, and that we provided for free to everybody who had the V1. In the extreme cases where it did crack, we replaced those completely, and then we started replacing them with V2s as well once we started developing the actual V2 product. Very important to stress, though, that as much as it may seem like these were happening so very often, it was still such a small percentage of instances, right? I think you guys said it was 0.06% of all units sold, right?
Exactly.
It's because we sold so many, and yes, everyone that goes online to social media, I mean, we're not going to go into that too much, but obviously you go online if you have a negative experience. You're not going to go online if you have no issues at all. So it definitely amplified the issue. It didn't help very much, but it was definitely on us. We needed to improve that, which we did immediately. And then we developed that upgrade package, which was a new throttle, display. There was the front plate panel, kickstand. What else am I forgetting? There was 4 and something else, wasn't there?
Grip tape? No, it was not. Kickstand, front panel, display, throttle.
Those are the main 4 anyway.
And there was a new mold button to connect to the new display because it's an easy plug connector.
Right, because we took out the key ignition. Yeah. Exactly. But these were just items that we wanted to improve. So there's nothing necessarily defective about those, but even that we provided, I think it was for free, and you just have to pay for shipping.
And customer exactly.
Yeah. And then now with all of this is an even further upgrade. So important to stress that these are not going to be necessary for your V1 or V2 scooter, although I'm pretty sure everyone now has a V2 scooter. So again, it's important to stress that this is an upgrade, but even still, we're going to provide that at cost. So there's no retail markup on this, is what our plan is, right?
Exactly. It's going to be at cost. The price, we're going to disclose it soon. It's going to be way cheaper than the original Ludo. It won't be $1,000 upgrade for sure. And again, the reason why it took so long to develop this controller, the Ludo one, it's because making a controller, it's one thing, it's super long and complicated, but making the rest of the thing that goes with it, which is the display and the throttle, which honestly take just as much time to do as the actual controller. It's a lot of pieces that need to come together to work. And when you add the extra layer on top of this to be retro compatible with your scooter, my God, that was the real challenge. So yeah, that's why it took so much time. And we are offering it at cost because making those three key components are extremely expensive, and the people who finance this are the one that bought the V1 and the V2. So it's really important for us to give it back to the community as an upgrade at cost.
Yeah, we could not have gotten this far. We could not have done all of this without our amazing community. So we do want to stress that we want to give back. And obviously we can't just give away everything for free or we'd be out of business by tomorrow, but we can definitely give it away at a very discounted price for these key community members. And yeah, we want to appreciate you guys. Where was I going to go with that? Yeah, so the big question a lot of people have asked, the Phantom, our flagship model, was not compatible with the app, which we kind of have covered before, just because the Bluetooth chip was not included in, I guess it's in the display. I thought it was maybe in the controller or the deck, but it's in the display that you mentioned. So with the new V3 upgrade package and the new display, they will be able to connect to the app, is what you're saying.
That's correct. Connect to the app. So that's one thing, reading the data, but writing the data. So changing the top speed limit, there's parental mode, like all the settings. That's another thing. And you're going to be able to do this. So if you install the app now and play with it, it's going to give you a pretty good idea of what you're going to be able to do with the Phantom. The two big feature for me are the tracking your ride. So you're going to be able to see the maximum temperature of your controller, not the motor because there is no sensor in that instance, but all your rides, soon you're going to be able to share it with friends. So it's just cool. Or just like you grab a screenshot and share it online, like being able to share your experience, it's great, I think. And the other big point is you are able to lock your scooter via the app. So you have a little lock, you press on it, that's going to lock both wheel as if you were applying more than maximum regen. Like it's as if you were touching the phase wire together, and the wheel. If someone wants to rub the scooter, they need to grab it, lift it, and run with it. There is no way you can roll it out. So that's
running away with
cool.
the 70-pound scooter is not very easy.
Yeah, exactly. So it's actually a double safety feature, right? You have the heavy weight, and you have the app. And with the app, it's pretty intuitive because it's not just like you click on the lock, you do like a pin or whatever. We are using the facial recognition of the phone, so it looks cool, first of all, and it's also super fast because you press on it, it's the usual facial recognition or fingerprint, depending on what you have, and boom, it's unlocked. So it's convenient. And that's our response to removing the key ignition in the first place on the V1. It's by introducing a feature that is way better. And with this feature, it's not like the key ignition that you can like cut and just like link the wires together, like jumping a car almost, It's built within your phone. So if someone steals the scooter and that's locked, even if they install the app, even if they install an app, try to connect to the scooter, they're gonna be asked the initial pin of the scooter, and even if they are able to connect like this, they still need to unlock what was set before. So it's extremely safe, way more than a key ignition.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people have mentioned that they missed the key ignition, and at first glance, it does seem like a nice, security feature. It's kind of nice to have the keys to a scooter, to a vehicle, right? But as you mentioned, it was not the most secure, and if someone was determined enough, they could easily, just rip that off or jump the wires, and not exactly.
And some people were just losing their key too, right? And Apollo, it's not like if we have a register of all the keys and we're like, okay, sure, we're gonna ship you a new one. We're like, well, you need to change the actual old key ignition box, which on the V1 was not even an easy plug connector. So it's like, okay, I need to disconnect the battery, cut the wire, change it, resolder. So not convenient.
Yeah. So it's going back to the display. You mentioned like with the upgrade, they're going to be able to connect to the app. With all the features that you mentioned, though, of what you can do, are people who have the V2 or even the V1, are they going to be able to get access to all those features with the upgrade package, or is it going to be slightly less because they don't have as many built-in sensors maybe, or connection to the controllers?
That's a good question. No, it's going to be all the same thing. The motor are staying the same. Again, we're not putting any sensors, and that's the reason why I wanted one controller that for everything. So yeah, we are utilizing the same communication cable, all the same connectors for the light inside. There's a small difference in color of the connectors because for the front light, because now it's turning signals, so we link them together. Like super intuitive though, and we're gonna try to have them labeled. But basically, this plug, you disconnect the whole display, disconnect everything at the top, remove the handle grip, remove the brake handle, put the new throttle, put the brake handle, put the grip, remove the display, put it, connect everything. It's all easy plug connector, waterproof. They're all going to be labeled too, and there's only one way to connect them. You can't go wrong. You do the same thing in the deck, so it's really disconnect one, reconnect with the new one, so you can't go wrong. After that, you turn on the scooter. You need to press 10 times on the power button when you turn it on. It's going to configure to the motor of the scooter. That's how we are able to get a precise reading of the hardware on the scooter and have a smooth algorithm. It's because the algorithm is going to adapt to the motor that you have on the scooter, which we were not doing before. Before you, at the factory level, they just hard code an algorithm that's going to fit for all the motors. Even if it's the same motor, the internal resistance are always different. So now by doing this configuration at the beginning, you're going to get the smoothest response you can imagine out of those motors. So yeah, it's really plug and play, easy configuration by pressing 10 times on the button. And anyone that saw how the Ludo was made, it was so long to do this configuration. Just connecting everything, okay, it's one thing, but doing the configuration on your phone on the best tool, it's like a 45-minute job, and one time out of two, it's not working. You need to redo it. So by doing all this configuration just by pressing 10 times on a button, it's a game changer. I'm sure other companies going to inspire from this.
Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, maybe who haven't been following us for very long, the previous ludicrous Ludo upgrade that we did for the Apollo Pro, you were basically doing this yourself. And as you said, you had to manually process it, all of it, each one. And that's part of why it cost so much too. It was $1,000 upgrade, because it was so time consuming, because it had to be calibrated perfectly. Otherwise, a lot could go wrong. But now with this new controller, this new upgrade is going to be like automatic, basically.
Exactly, calibrated, and you needed to run like new wires through the stem for the throttle, a pain for everything. The light.
Yeah, we lost the display functionality, right? Too.
On top of that, that's a good point.
Yeah. That for the previous Pro, I mean, not for the ludicrous, just to clarify. Time consuming, painful process, and just for like a little bit of extra acceleration and power, which now it's all built in. And the regen, yes. Yeah.
And it was overeating at the end, right? So
it had the potential. But yeah, for anyone watching, like as you saw, if anyone owned the V1 or the V2 and you upgraded to the V2 package, we released that video on how to install it. It's all very simple, and that's one of the best parts about the Phantom is so much of it was plug and play. And we're taking that even farther now with the V3, and we're going to be releasing content for that too. So if you guys are watching, don't worry. We will be releasing content showing you how to do so, and it should be very simple and straightforward, right?
Yes, 100%.
Perfect. Yeah. Where was I going to go with that too? Shoot, lost my train of thought.
If there are some people that don't want to install it themselves, I can understand that. I think we're going to offer it via the Apollo Tech Crew as well. We have like an academy built online with online course. We can make a course, or even just post the video that we got to make on how to upgrade it, and people can go there and get the upgrade kit installed at a super reasonable price. So it's convenient throughout the whole process.
And it'll be very simple. Like if you've ever had to change a display or something like that, it's just a few screws. If you have the multi-tool that we usually ship with all of our scooters, that's pretty much all you need, I think. So I guess if anyone is wondering now, like, do I buy the V2 or wait for the V3? What would you say to those people? Because I think the V2, as you mentioned,
I think you should buy the V2 because the hardware will not change, and it's still a fantastic scooter, right? And if you give me the choice between like having something great now or wait for something better in like we don't know yet when it's going to come out, but it's going to be later this summer, that's for sure. I don't think it's going to come out in May. It won't. It's going to be this summer 100%. But I want to make sure that we test everything a billion %. So we're going to ship controllers to everyone, and we're going to test it for wholesaler as well, and give feedback and change it, and then produce a batch that's going to be made in China and then need to be shipped to Canada and the US. So there's a lot of steps that still need to be done. So 100% this year, but later this summer, realistically, probably around July, so and it's like you can already like ride outside, at least in Montreal now, so for sure get the V2 now, and at least when you're going to upgrade it to the V3, you're going to be able to appreciate the difference too, right? Like you want that's the thing that it's pretty cool. And after that, you're going to have still like a controller backup, a display backup, you're going to have a couple parts as a backup, and the V3 will be more expensive too, right? So it won't be as expensive as just if you buy the V2 and upgrade it to the V3. It's going to be a bit less, but it's going to be very similar. So you might as well get the V2 and just upgrade it after. Again, if the hardware is not changing, everything is remaining the same. So the throttle and display, but it's going to come with the upgrade kit. Yeah, you should jump on the V2 100%.
Yeah, and again, because it's important to note that the V3 upgrade package is exactly that, an upgrade, and it's not necessary to enjoy the Phantom right now, and the V2 is already an improvement on what we've been doing so far. And I think, as you mentioned before, like we're selling them out so quickly. We've broken some sales records, I believe, if I've heard correctly. It's almost constantly on pre-order right now, and we are now selling the Phantom directly to the US again, as well as with fluid-free rides. So you guys have both options to purchase from. Can't go wrong either way, I think. But as you mentioned, if you're buying the V3 directly as like the finished product, there's probably going to be a little bit extra markup because it's already going to be all installed. But there's really no difference between buying the V2 now and then upgrading if you want the V3 package, which will give you some extra benefits and features.
Exactly.
Yeah. Will there be further upgrades, do you think? You think we'll be doing a V4?
Maybe right now I'm really focusing on the V3. V4 might be, I don't know what would be the V4 yet, because the V3 will cover everything I want to do now. There's a couple of other things we're looking at for the V3, but they are really aesthetic, looking maybe for better paint job, or it's already great, but if we are to change our color scheme, maybe there's something to do with that paint. But nothing. I don't have a master plan for the Phantom. So I'm focusing on the V3, and honestly, it's going to be the best dual motor out there after that. I think a dual motor high performance in the shape that it is. If not, it's a new city for sure. But I don't think I don't see how it could get better. Not overheating, crazy performance, crazy display, the best looking app in the market, hands down for electric scooter. The ability to share your ride, to register all your rides. It's, I don't know how it could get better. Maybe it's gonna fly the V4. But,
There's always so many more developments and things we can do, but also at the same time, we want to make sure that scooter is still accessible for people. And if we keep improving it to the point wwhere the features that most people won't even care for or appreciate, then it just becomes so expensive that it can become inaccessible.
Exactly. Like I said, there's always a relation between what we want to offer and the cost that it needs to be to offer it to customer to be competitive. So it's a fine line that you need to balance. And the fact that we're going to be able to do it with the V3, I'm proud of that. It's quite exceptional. So we mentioned a little bit before about the community VIP video that we did. When did we release that? Last week, I think it was now, with Matanga, one of our VIP community members. And we gave him like a sneak peek into all these different features that you're working on, and you explained everything to him. Do you remember what stood out to him as like some of his favorite features? The smooth acceleration, love that. The regen as well. The regen is a game changer on a dual motor. Even more, because you have two motors to brake. He loved it, and I know he really liked the new display. That was his thing for sure.
And I think the front turn signals too, I remember, right?
Yes. Yes. That's like, you present all of this, like the new display, everything we talked about, and when it's the thing that stood out the most is the front turn signal. It's
something people have been asking for a lot, and I guess for obvious reasons. And you want to be able to clearly indicate. Some feedback that we have seen though is, and we mentioned it, we talked about it in the previous city podcast, is the beeping sound that the turn signals make. And we won't have to go as in depth with it as we did in the previous podcast, but some people find it maybe a little bit too loud or annoying. But as I mentioned before, in my opinion, it's a safety feature. Quickly, just give details on why it is making sound.
You want something that is audible, I guess, yeah, for when you put the turning signal, because most of the scooters, so it's either there's always going to be people that's going to complain about something, but when you have like the Mantis, I believe, or any other scooter that have turning signal, there's no sound and there's nothing on the display that say that it's on. So you need to like put it and like, okay, you put it, you're fine, you think it's on, and after that you need to check to make sure like you remove it, you know. That's unacceptable. You need to hear it, and you need to see it, so you don't have to look somewhere else except the road when you ride. So yes, for the V3 there's going to be the beeping sound as the V2 had, and there's going to be arrows on the display to tell you that it's on.
Yeah, and like we alluded to before, it's like when you're driving a car, the car makes sounds when the turn signal is on. But one of the differences for the scooter is, what you mentioned for the City, I'm imagining it's going to be the same thing for the Phantom, is it will turn off after 6 seconds, right?
6 flashing, yeah.
Okay, 6 flashes. Yeah, so it's not going to stay on, but it's something you do want to be aware of too. And you have to look down at the screen, like you said, it's not the safest thing to do. And you don't want to be riding your scooter with the turn signal flashing on the entire way, like some people do on the highway with their car.
And just it would be ridiculous that we introduce like buttons that are so intuitive that you don't need to look at them, but you need to look at like the display or the lights to make sure that they are on.
Yeah. But this is so many different features, and it's exciting to see the progression of our very first scooter build and how much it has improved and progressed in such a short time too. And the V2 was a progression of that, where we had to maybe fix some more important things and address some more serious concerns. And the V3 is now a continuation of that, where we're improving on and upgrading that to be an even better experience. So I think this is going to be an all-around very exciting project. For anyone else watching, like if you are not part of our Facebook community group yet, go and join it now. We're going to start doing more of these kind of VIP access events like we did in Matunga. So make sure you search out the official Apollo Scooters community. Join there. We'd love to see how engaged our community is and how much time and money too they invest on upgrading and modifying their scooters. And we want to make sure that we continue to give back to you guys, because you guys are the reason why we exist and why we are still existing and can keep improving. I think that's all the questions I had for you about the V3. We've had a lot of videos so far covering a lot of it. We're going to keep releasing more videos and content on it, and especially like how to install the upgrades, all the different features, and maybe we should finally do a proper review of it too. Was there anything else you wanted to mention about the V3 before we sign off here?
That's pretty much it. Again, as we said in all of the other video, thank you to everyone for financing this. It's because of all of you that I can have so much fun doing this job and trying to innovate within the electric scooter market. So it's because of you that I feel so proud and so happy with my life in general and with work. So thanks to all of you. Thank you, Sean. And stay tuned. We're going to be posting a lot more about the Phantom V3, the City new scooters. There's a lot of good things to come.
Yeah, this is going to be a big year for Apollo. So make sure you stay tuned, guys. And special thanks to you, Eloi, for investing so much time, so much energy and effort into building and perfecting these scooters. And we're moving now into our own proprietary lineup, moving away from those OEMs where we have much more control over our lineup, our processes, and assembly line. And we want to make sure that we're delivering the perfect products to you guys. So again, thank you to everyone. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Let us know what kind of topics you want to hear about in our next podcasts. And as always, ride safe.
Bye.